Hey, you guys. It is Tuesday. It is 12 o'clock Central. This is Anything But Average, Achieving Success in Life. And I got my good friend Woods Davis with me today. Hi, Woods.
Hey, what's up, Tricia? Good to be with you. One of my favorite people in the world. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. So this, you guys that are paying attention, this is the month of November. We're supposed to be showing Thanksgiving and thankfulness. And so I thought kind of going with that theme of Thanksgiving, I am focusing every single day this month on gratitude. And I'm sharing somebody that I'm thankful for and something that I'm thankful for, because sometimes that's hard to really think about that stuff. But Woods Davis is definitely someone that I'm thankful for. He has made a huge impact on my life for the better, of course. And so I wanted to bring him on, to show my gratitude to him and share a little bit of our story and just see what's going on in Woods' life, because that guy has got it going on. And if there's anything he could ever do to help you, he always does. Thank
Awesome.
you, Woods.
Well, I'm grateful for you, Tricia. I think that, I feel such a kindred spirit with you. I feel like we have very similar values. And I think that our purpose is so aligned and trying to really help other people. And, I know, so for me, my personal purpose in life, and, I've been working on this, trying to get clear on this, but it's really to glorify God by helping other people recognize and then realize their full potential. And I see that in you. I see you doing it with the people that you lead. I see you doing it with your clients, with all the people that you come in contact with. And man, I'm just so grateful to have you in my life as well. So the Thanksgiving is flowing abundantly from me in your direction as well. And I've really enjoyed your practice of gratitude and putting that on social media and inspiring other people, because I know that you have a platform. People know who you are. People pay attention to you. They watch you on your TV show. They see you in your local marketplace. They see you expanding beyond your local marketplace into other markets and leading people beyond just real estate. And so, I think it's important for people, when you have a platform, to share true principles that will bless other people's life. And, I've been blessed by you sharing your content and putting your gratitude out there. It helps keep me accountable and remind myself to practice gratitude. So I've really enjoyed that. So thank you for that. It's been awesome.
You're welcome. It's like, here's the deal. And I think about this stuff all the time because, of course, I have my morning routine. So it's like, it's real easy to get caught up in pretending that you have this perfect life. Everybody looks on social media and everybody thinks that they have, everybody's life is so much better, but it's like, it's not. And for a lot of people out there, they're just putting on this front and their lives are really miserable. And when you stay grounded, like you talked about, it's like, I want to be just real. Like when I do these shows and these interviews and when I do stuff, it's none of it's scripted. It's never take two. It's like, this is real. This is what's coming out of my mouth. I did not rehearse this. And that's just me. And, it is what it is, period. And I
Yeah.
think with you, like we have such a cool connection because you're the same way. It's like, you're just real,
Yeah.
no fake there.
Yeah, and I know that can be a challenge, and I'll be honest with you and straightforward in some of my struggle. So some of my struggle has been in the past, especially as it relates to social media. I want to share things that that I feel again would fulfill my purpose and blessing other people's life. Right. So, and a lot of times, some of the best ways to do that is when you can communicate a personal struggle and also demonstrate and lead and show people how you are overcoming that, or maybe action that you're taking to get through it. Because listen, we all have ups and downs in life. So I don't care who you are, especially as entrepreneurs, man. I mean, there's an entrepreneurial roller coaster that becomes part of your life as you continue to level up. Because one thing that's true, and so the founder of our company, I was at a mastermind last week here in Dallas, and so it's a room full of people like you and all of our all of our people,
All of our friends, yeah.
Yeah, these are all millionaires, right? The top of the game in the real estate business. So there's about a room full of about 50 people. And then the founder of our company, Glenn Sanford, who is a billionaire, who started $1 billion company. And he said one thing that was really resonated with me. And he said that the old model and the old systems that you used to get you to where you are not the same systems that you're going to need to get you to where you want to go. Every time if you're a relentlessly pursuing a better you, a better life, more, trying to realize more potential, trying to, go after all that, that you have this feeling deep inside that God has just got greatness for you, and he's got greatness for other people, and he can use you as a tool to help them get it, then you're going to constantly be in this state where you're building, and then you're tearing down things that feel wrong. Maybe you're having success by all outward appearances to the world, and maybe the way that the world defines success, but maybe you're losing time. Maybe you're losing something there, or something is not right, and you have to tear that down in order to get to this next level. And the process of leveling up is this continually like refining your weaknesses, refining system, making changes in your life. So by definition, if you're pursuing excellence and greatness, you're always going to be tearing stuff down and breaking stuff in order to rebuild a better you, a better life. And so I think it's valuable when people, especially, people that, I was going to say younger, but I think that for everybody really on their entrepreneurial journey, they understand that that's normal, and that is the process. And you have to fall in love with the process, or otherwise you're just going to be frustrated because you think that that's this fairy tale, which is not true. But so when you can fall in love with the process, demonstrate that and share that with other people, I think it's just super valuable.
I know you've read that book, Rocket Fuel, right?
I haven't. I have not.
Oh,
I will add it
my
to my
God.
list,
You have to read this book. It describes you. It describes me. So in the book Rocket Fuel, it talks about a visionary, and there's like chapters that define a visionary, and it's you, it's me. And when I read that book, I was like, holy crap, it just spit my whole life out of there. And it's like, a visionary is always hungry. They're never satisfied. Like you just said, they're going to tear it down and build it more because they're not happy with that. So it's like always seeking. That's what we're doing. We're always seeking, always hungry.
And I'm telling you that it's important when you recognize it. Here's a few things that I've recognized as somebody who is very visionary, somebody who's very entrepreneurial, who is very driven, is that, first of all, where there's no vision, the people perish. Okay. Yep. So you have a place in the world. You have a purpose. People around you need you. They need your vision. Most people haven't even created a clear vision for their life and what they want. They've never even spent the time to get a strategy for their life. And so when you can demonstrate and share a vision with other people, it helps them. It gives them something to latch onto, and hopefully they can develop their own vision and follow in your footsteps. So visionaries are important. The second thing is that when I think about, like when I read in the scriptures about people who were visionary, you read in the Bible about these, these people who were, prophets, or that were, called by God to like go out and do all this hard, crazy stuff, right? Lead people, right? Yes. First of all, there's a scripture that says that, that a prophet is never loved or never known in his own town. And so when I think about that and what's trying to be communicated there, I think what happens is as you become, as you take the steps to be more visionary, and as you try to break the mold, you're going to be surrounded by people who are living under the constraints of their own limited thinking. They're living in the existing framework. We call this the reported world. Like they're living according to the rules that they feel are just set, right? And so when you start to break out beyond those boundaries and outside of the norms, people are not going to recognize it. And some people are going to, rebel against it. And a lot of people, especially, and this goes out to anybody who might be watching, who's starting their entrepreneurial journey, who's maybe thinking about making a significant change in their business and maybe adopting a better business model, or maybe making some significant change in their life. You're going to have that immediate kickback of people that are going to try to diminish that because of their own limited thinking, right?
Yep.
So it's important to live in what we call is a created world, meaning that your world can be anything that you want it to be. You are truly in control of your life. You get to create and set up the game that you want to play. And you do that by not allowing yourself to give in to the reported world way of thinking. And, that was something that I learned from one of my mentors who built $1 billion software company. His name's Clayton Mask, and his coach taught him the whole framework. We were all masterminded together, and his coach came in and shared that with us, the whole framework of reported world versus created world. And I think that's just a really healthy way to think, because it's a trigger, it's a mental model, it's a trigger. Hey, is this reported world? Is this really true? Whenever somebody tells you, let me give you an example. When somebody ever tells you, you can't do that, that's not the way it works. It's not supposed to be like that, right? Those are all mental triggers of somebody else's reported world and them trying to project that frame of thinking onto you. And so part of being a visionary is somebody stepping out and being willing to, have faith in yourself and have faith in your own ability to receive inspiration and truth for you, because it might be different for you. Your purpose might be different than somebody else's. And
Yes.
being willing to follow your own heart, your own instinct, your own conscious, that little voice that talks to you, and being congruent with that. That's the most important thing. And drowning out the naysayers that are on the sidelines that try to diminish it.
Well, what's my thought is, like, when you raise your hand and, like you just said, you feel like your purpose is to help people live a better life, live an abundant life. And I believe that 100%. And so that drives you, that gives you that energy, that gives you that motive, that ambition. When people ask me the same thing, they're like, what makes you want to get up every day and do this? Because there are days, I'm sure, in your life and in all our lives where it's like, I really don't feel like doing this today, but you know what? I raised my hand and I said that I would. So what if I don't get up and do it? Then people are going to be like, hey, what happened? What if there's that one person that needed you that day?
Yeah. 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 And
so
listen,
that's what drives us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And listen, there's times where we're imperfect. We're going to fail. We're going to not, we're going to be tired, and we're going to maybe allow our mind to go to a place that, that's incongruent with who we truly are. There's going to be times where we're just, you've been in, listen, you're like me, right? We're getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. You might get up earlier than me, which is pretty crazy. 3. Yeah, 3. So there you go. Right. You thought 4 was something. That's like, no, Tricia's up at 3. So
I'm going back to 4 at the new year.
There you go. That's a great point. Yeah. But, so there's those times where you're pushing, you're up, you're early, you're early, and then you're like back to back to back to back to back to back. And then it's like you get hit with that fire or that person who really needs some more personal attention, time, and really and they need love. And sometimes it's like, man, you just feel like you don't have it in you to put that out or to give to other people. But, the more that you refocus, again, just on that purpose and let that be your driving force, you're like, no, this is what I signed up for. Like you said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? I love that way of thinking. And two, like, first of all, I do believe this. I do believe that when you're aligned with your purpose, the things that you're doing give you energy. They fill you up. Okay. Now, when you start to get misaligned with your purpose, then you can start to feel incongruent. Those things feel very, very draining. Okay. And I'm going to share just a personal experience. So, I've had many businesses as an entrepreneur. Okay. And I can tell you that there are businesses that I've had that drained me. And I stayed doing them because I made a ton of money doing it. And so it was the temptation to remain in a state that was maybe incongruent with my overall purpose in exchange for short-term pleasure of money. And so, you know, I've learned, and I think I've grown a lot over the years in being able to recognize, like, I am not going to live in a way that's incongruent with my purpose, incongruent with my principles. They're too important to sacrifice for, you know, for short-term gain. And that's why I think it's so important for you to have really kind of like a vision for your life, and really your own definition of success, and what it is that you're trying to accomplish for your life. Because, you know, if you define it by worldly standards or the standards of others, I mean, certainly don't go to Instagram and try to seek out, you know, what the vision for your life is, right? That's a false, you know, you're going to be chasing a lot of false idols. You know, you got to get clear on what's important for you. And then, you know, a lot of that's going to require you to, again, to live a certain way, going to be to live according to certain principles, and maybe even sacrifice some short-term gain for long-term, you know, for long-term success and peace in the process. You know,
Yes.
you're gonna get kickback. Like, anytime you shift, and this is a shift that happens, and I can tell you, it's happened for a lot of people, especially coming to EXP. There is a shift in business model, in changing a business model, that is very revolutionary, and puts you in a position to have such a greater long-term success plan, and a lifestyle, and income, and things that are not really possible under other models. It's going to require you to sacrifice some, you know, some short-term comfort with your current way of doing things, in order to adopt a different way of doing things that's more congruent with what you want long term. And I just know that, man, it's always worth it. It's always worth it when you're super clear on what you want. It's always worth pursuing that path, regardless of the short term, you know, the short term pain associated with it.
You know, I think the busier that people get, and this is, I'm just speaking of my own mind, the busier that I get, I know, and I think that's the enemy a lot of times working on me, because you get so much going on that your mind is, there's chaos in your mind.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay focused. It's hard to stay laser focused, of course. And so then you're easily distracted, and it's like you feel you're off kilter. You're not grounded. And for me, you know, like you, it's so funny that you and I have this connection, because, you know, here in my company, we've gone through a lot of, you know, people coming and going the last few months. And so a lot of change, and it's been, some of it's been needed, some of it's been blindsided. And you reached out to me at like 7 o'clock in the morning a couple weeks ago, and you're like, hey, I woke up because you were like heavy on me today. And I was so grateful that you did, because I was weary, and my mind was not grounded, and my mind had chaos, because I do have a lot of distractions because of that. And so what I've had to do, even just since our call, is get really even more stern on my morning routine, and make sure that I'm reading scripture every day. Because when your mind gets weakened like that, and you don't have your guard up, then things happen. And like you said, your purpose, you know what your purpose is, but you're distracted, and then it's draining. It's like, I'm saying yes to things that don't make me happy. I'm saying yes to things I don't want to do. And you know what? We got one shot at this life. It's like, I'm going to stop saying yes to these things that don't make me happy. They're not my purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're so good at that. And that's one of the reasons I'm so thankful that for how close we are, because I learned so much from you, because you are aware of that too, and you talk of it all the time.
Right. It's really, yeah, it's really helpful. I think, especially, we have a common, we're both Christians. We both have a common core value set and belief system that
Okay.
that we share. And so it's super helpful because you talked about reading scriptures, which is a absolute must for me. So because we have this one source of truth that we can turn to, we can open up the scriptures, and we can read and study. And then we can also pray and receive personal revelation on how these things apply to our life, how, and get real answers and real guidance, from that. But that in and of itself requires work. And so, I'm sure there's people that are listening to this, and maybe they aren't a believer, maybe they don't necessarily, they might not even believe in God, right? And and that's okay. I'm not here to judge anyone, but I'm saying that, if you have to be grounded in some core truth. You have to be grounded in principles that you believe, because that is your core values. I mean, those are the things that are going to be your guiding light, and you have to continually revisit them, continually go back to them, have the discipline to make the sacrifices that you need in order to be able to, continually recenter yourself on those true principles. And, along that line, I want to say this because it's just kind of on my heart. And, and so one of the things that I've just discovered in my life, and this is for people that may be believers, but it could be for people that aren't as well. Okay. Is that in order to have clarity in your life and to really tune in, for me personally, I have to be clean. Okay. And when I say I have to be clean, that means that doesn't mean that I live a perfect life. Okay. But what it does mean is I practice a principle that I believe in called repentance. So I believe that Jesus Christ is my Savior and that He gave me this gift. But I have to receive this gift. I have to just, and He gave me, he showed me a way to live. He gave me principles to guide my life, and I either live according to those principles or I don't. And there's going to be times where I lose my temper and I don't love my neighbor, and there's all these mistakes that I make constantly. But here's the key. Is that I recognize those mistakes and I repent quickly. Where we've run into problems is when we allow things to linger in our life, or we try to justify our failures, and then those become little seeds of doubt that are placed inside of your heart that are incongruencies with your true identity. So then what can happen is, if you allow enough of that to accumulate, you'll start to question your identity. You'll start to question your faith. You'll start to question your principles. You'll start to question what you're doing. In other words, you'll have confusion. You will not have clarity. You will not have peace. You will not feel centered, right? So it's so important that we do that. And again, even if you're not a believer, listen, you have to be able to recognize where you make mistakes and forgive yourself, and then move forward knowing that I can start all over today and choose this day who I'm going to serve and what purpose I'm going to live, right? And that is so powerful, because we will do more subconsciously to fulfill our identity of ourself than we can even imagine. So if you start shifting your core identity, and you have this thought in yourself, so like, let's say, for example, you were dishonest, okay? Then you were dishonest about something in a moment. Maybe you said something that wasn't true to kind of just cover your butt, like, yeah, I sent it to you or whatever, and then it's like you didn't. All right, so yeah, so yeah, and then you're rushing to like go do it, right, or whatever. So if you allow that to just kind of sit back there, right? If honesty is part of your principles, which I believe that any person who's seeking to be successful in life, that's probably a universal truth that they can count on, right? Then that one little thing, again, that's going to be a little place that gets embedded in your subconscious of like, you're not honest. You're not honest. Okay. And that chips away at your identity. And so now you're subconsciously going to do more things in your life that aren't exactly honest. And so when I talk to my daughters, I told my daughter the other day, I said, Anna, do you know what the key to confidence is? And she said, what? She said, no, tell me. I said, the key to confidence is making and keeping promises to yourself. Making and keeping promises to yourself. And so when you can continually get in this pattern of just keeping your word and just keeping these little promises to yourself, you build confidence. But here's the thing. What happens when you don't? Well, when you don't, you recognize it. And then you forgive yourself and say, that's not who I am. I acted incongruent with who I am, but that's not who I am. So I'm going to not do that moving forward. And today is a new day and I'm starting over. And there's tremendous power in that. And I know that's kind of a heck of a vein to go down. But just kind of sharing what's on my heart and trying to add value.
You always add value. I say it in here in the office all the time. I'm like, whenever I'm going to get on a call with Woods, if it's about anything to do with tech or anything like that, like I have to turn my chair around. I have to be facing the wall. I have to be totally like laser focused on our conversation. No distractions, because you're like just over the top smart, and it blows my mind. I so appreciate you, but it's true because you're so deep and your thought process is like just so genuine and sincere. I just totally appreciate you.
Oh, well, thanks. I mean, I learned this process that I think has helped me compartmentalize how to think, because it's important. I think, like, I really wish schools would teach kids how to think instead of a lot of the things that they do. I mean, I can't believe some of the curriculum is still so much memorization and things that you could just instantly Google search. I mean, it's so antiquated. Right. But so for me, I have this little 3-pillar framework of thinking. And so I'm always running this framework, and I call it doctrine, principles, and applications. So doctrine is kind of like this core truth that I believe is completely universal. It never changes. And to me personally, that comes from God. Now, there's principles that are true, that flow out from those doctrines, and those don't change either, and those govern the way things work in this world that we live in. Okay, there's just true principles that you have to operate by. And then there's applications, and the applications are basically how we apply those principles in our life to any situation in order to get the results that we want. And what I've discovered is that so many people live their life at the application level, and they're just looking for the quick fix. They're looking for the short answer. They're looking for the immediate result, and they don't dig deeper to fully understand the principles that govern that application. And so therefore, when they're in another circumstance, they're still stuck at the application level, just looking for like the next answer. But you'll hear Elon Musk describe principle-based thinking, right? It's a physics it's a principle of physics, right? Is start from the core principles and then reason up from there, right? And so I guess that's kind of what I do, and so like I'm always trying to take the time. I know when I coach people and I work with people, I know what they want. They want, hey, hey, run this ad and do this thing and use this script, right? And say this, and then you'll get the result, right? And so I'm aware of that, and I give that to them. And I give that to them because I want to help build their confidence in the process. But I always try to teach in the process of giving that to them. I try to teach them the principles behind them because I want them. I'll give them fish. I will not let people starve. Okay, I will give them fish, and I'm just like that. I don't know, and maybe that is even a weakness at times. And I've recognized because I'll say yes sometimes when I shouldn't, but I do try to make an effort to teach people how to fish for themselves by grounding them in those principles. And but yeah, I mean, that's probably why you're having to turn your chair around when we jump on a Traffic Tuesday and I'm going over some Facebook ads. I ain't gonna let you just get off.
Head down everywhere, like I gotta concentrate. Shut the door, escape me any distractions right now. I gotta really listen to this.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. That's just you. And it's like a gift. It's such a huge gift. You know what? When I first met you, I already knew Jay and Mike, and a lot of people have heard the story, but not everybody has. And I already knew Jay and Mike because I had joined NAEA. But when I met you, and I remember it like it was yesterday, I can see it. We were in Frisco at that big conference table, and you were sitting across the table from me, and Michael was sitting next to me, and Jay was sitting next to you, and we were discussing me, shutting my brokerage down, moving into EXP. And Mike and Jay got up, and we were running numbers, and of course you're the numbers guy, and everyone was writing on the whiteboard. And Mike and Jay got up to go take a call, and you and I were sitting at the table. And it was this huge conference table. And I said to you, I go, I'm like kind of freaking out right now because I don't feel worthy to be sitting at this table with y'all. Y'all are like, just killing it. I'm not at your level. And you looked right at me and you were like, Tricia, I'm going to tell you this. If you listen to what Jay and Mike say and what we're telling you, it'll change your life. If you just trust the process and trust the people and know that we'd never align you with anything that wasn't right, it'll change your life. And then you said, it's changed my life just being in business with them. Do you remember that?
I do 100%.
Yep. And that statement, we were together for like 4 hours that day, but that statement that you made, and then the statement that Jay made that I shared when I had him on the show, when he said, Tricia, you have a Blockbuster and EXP is Netflix. It was those two things that made such an impact on my life. Like when I left that day, I had such comfort because I believed you and I trusted you. I still do, of course. But when I left there, like I cried half the way home, not because I was afraid. I cried like, I can't believe. It was like one of those moments where I feel like I have God's favor on my life. And I knew that you were a Christian. I gauged that from our conversation and everything we had talked about. So I was like, I'm going to trust in him. I'm going to trust in you. And I'm going to believe that what you say is true because that's the way I am. I trust people sometimes too much. And because of that conversation that day at that conference table, all of you three, and so many others, but y'all especially changed my life and my family's life forever. And so in the month of Thanksgiving, it's like, there's not a day that goes by, honestly, that in my mind, I'm not aware of that. And I'm not so grateful to have you in my life. It's just such a truth. And then for us to be aligned spiritually is like, that's just gravy, that's his will,
Yeah,
his will.
that's awesome. And Tricia, you're a seeker. Okay. So let's not make any mistakes here. Okay. You knew, you knew Michael and Jay prior to this. Why? Because you were seeking. You came to one of our events, an event and a tour that we all worked on together. I mean, it's just amazing to connect the dots looking backwards. But I can tell you that one thing that I consistently see amongst people that are super high achievers and ultimately people that cross over to kind of like their true, like they're a real purpose driven business that creates a lifestyle beyond what they even thought was possible. And they are all seekers. You were a seeker, and you took action in order to put you in a position to where you could be in that room. Okay. You took action. Okay. I took action. So here's the other side of the story, Tricia, is that Michael and I were sitting in a room. It might have been that same conference room. We were in the same building. And Michael said, who is the person? This is when I was, I still had DPO back then and stuff. And I think we had maybe tested some stuff in your marketplace, and it didn't really work out real well for us. Anyways, and we had a conversation, and I just remember you communicating to me where you were at in, how many agents you had, which was, a ton. How many, how your new building, all of your personal brand work that you've done. You're just killing it, right? But yet you were killing it under a model that we have, we've been sitting in the room for 10 years, watching the same thing play out over and over and over, of people that continually bounce off the lid because of their business model. They experience churn. They experience, all of these headaches that happen as a result of a flaw in their model. But that being said, after talking to you, my impression was that you were phenomenal and growing, and just, you made a ton of investment in your brick and mortar and just everything. And so Michael asked me, he said, Woods, we were fresh off a conversation, I think that past weekend. And he said, hey, Woods, just off the top of your head right now, who's one person that you would be nervous about, talking about, maybe making a change to what their current strategy is? Who would you be nervous about calling? And I said, man, probably Tricia Turner. I just had a conversation with her, and she's doing really well. Here's her agent count. She just got in this new building and all of this, and really been crushing the personal brand. And he said, all right, awesome. I'll be right back. You're calling her in 5 minutes. Okay. And that's how that went down. Just, so again, but all of these things come together as a result of people just, taking massive action, exercising faith. What I knew at that point is that, is what we were doing was working beyond anything that I'd ever seen. And you're talking about guys, we've all been breaking down business models. We've all run so many hybrid business models, that's crazy. We've tested everything under the sun and done it with a lot of top teams and people throughout North America. Right. So we were kind of blown away, holy crap, this really solved all this stuff. So I had faith that it was right, regardless. And I had a little push, and I had a mentor and somebody and a friend in Michael, who helped make that push. And so, again, it's just, man, it's no coincidence. It's a result of, having faith in the process, having, faith in that there's more, and taking action and acting upon things as they come up, and then ultimately being led down a path that is life-changing. That is what's fun about living an inspired life.
Yes.
Is you don't know exactly how things are going to turn out, and but here's what you do know. You do know that there are going to be plenty of bumps along the road. There's going to be plenty of challenges along the way. But if you know that it's right, and you feel it in your heart, it resonates with your spirit, even to the point to where, it brought you to tears, right? I'm like that too, man. I cry all the time about stuff like that. But, that's strength to press forward. and it's awesome. And we're certainly grateful to have you as a partner, certainly grateful that you put your faith in us. We take that super serious, when we partner with people, and we feel a responsibility to make sure that, we change lives. And that's awesome. We're super happy that it all went down that way, for sure.
Oh, me too. And you know what? It's like we have no idea. So 2020 has been a crazy freaking year anyway. So everyone's kind of looking forward to the end of it. But I think of like all of us, because just think before, if you think back 5 years ago, like we all weren't in business together. We were all in the same industry per se, but we weren't all in the same business together. Now we all are. It's like, I cannot imagine what the next 5 years is going to be like. Insane.
I know. Well, I mean, it's been such an insane, wild ride up to now. But yeah, the next 5 years, I mean, I'm so unbelievably optimistic and just grateful. Like I said, I know there's always going to be continual challenges and things along the way, but I know I'm just, committed to enjoying the journey. And I love the process, and I love being able to, do life with people like you and people that, are passionate about what they do and just are always looking for a better way.
Always. That's what we do, right?
That's right, man. That's right. There's always a better way.
Hey, Woods, tell everybody how they can find you if they want to hear more about you or get some coaching tips from you, because Woods has got the strategies down, that's for sure.
Sure.
How can they find you?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Number one is you can find me, on Facebook or Instagram, just at Woods Davis. And then also too, if you want to kind of see what's working now and some of the strategies and things that we're really working to develop, you can go to doubleyourbusinesslive.com, and that's a little webinar, kind of the stuff that we're doing that's working. And I'll tell you, I'm, like I said, if you connect with me on social media, I'm always happy to help. And I love, showing people behind the scenes and kind of giving people the real scoop on what's working. Some people are weird about stuff, especially I think coaches and people that might sell stuff. They kind of keep the secret sauce behind the curtain. The cool thing is about me is I'll just put it all out, and I'll just take you behind the scenes. We can log into my ad accounts. I can show you, I'll show you what the heck's working and what the truth is, behind a lot of stuff. And, the truth.
Actually teach it.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Love
well, thanks so much, Tricia. I appreciate you having me on today. I've really enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Definitely. You guys have a great day. Bye, y'all.
See you guys.